It's time to strap in and get ready for the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Dan and Dirk are live in the studio today, ready to hear from you at 402-573-0590.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online, joeskarting.com. Karting with a K, fast-paced, white-knuckle racing, where the only speed restriction is how fast you can get around the corners. Make sure you brake, because it does help on those road courses, and we'll find that out. Is that next weekend, Sonoma?
Yes, it is.
NASCAR,
Next weekend, Sonoma.
The NASCAR circuit heads to Sonoma, but we got a big race for you today. We are live from Newton, Iowa, as we get you set for the American Ethanol E15 presented by E15 250, presented by Enogene. And the broadcast today from Iowa Speedway kicks off at about, I would expect pre-race probably about noon. Green flag scheduled for about 12:30. No rain in the forecast, plenty of UVs. So I'm going to get a little tan today. I'm excited.
Plenty of sweat in the forecast.
It's thankfully it's not near as hot as it was last week, and it has been for the last couple of weeks. We're seeing about a high of 90 today in Newton, Iowa. So throw on a little bit of sunscreen, bring in some bottled water. Make sure you stay hydrated while you're consuming some of the alcoholic beverages, if that is of your choice, and you should be just fine. We have a big show lined up for you today, this Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and happy Father's Day to mine, mostly for putting up with me for so many years and being a great father. So thank you to that. And the show we have lined up for you today, turn number one, we're going to recap Michigan. I think they're still slipping and sliding out there, Dirk. Man, I tell you, that was an amazing race, and I would definitely watch that again. Turn number two, we're going to sit down with Logan Schuchart, driver of the 1S out of Hanover, Pennsylvania. He is kind of one of the lower-funded teams that are on the World of Outlaw circuit, and we're going to talk to him, getting you set for the race this coming Wednesday at I-80 Speedway. Turn number three, we're going to sit down with Matt Crafton. You may have heard of Matt. He's a two-time Xfinity, Camping World Truck Series winner, and he is the only driver to go back-to-back in Camping World Truck Series history.
He's got a lot more than 2 wins. He's got 2 championships.
I thought I said back-to-back championships.
You said 2-time winner.
Well, he is a 2-time winner.
No, he's a lot more than 2.
But he's got 2 wins. Whatever. All right, I'll wake up one of these seconds. So we'll talk with Matt Crafton in turn number 3, and then Travis Kvapil, who we talked to him back in Kansas. And you and I were walking around the pits in Kansas, and you said, we got to talk to Travis. Let's see if we can talk to Travis. And I thought, probably a negative thing I thought was, well, nobody cares about Travis. He's not a big winner. He's not a big he was never this big star in NASCAR, and he's kind of on his way down, and I thought, well, nobody's going to care. We had a 20-minute conversation with him that I really wish we'd have got that audio from him. So when we had the opportunity to sit down with him here at Iowa Speedway, we sent the request over, and it was approved right away, and we had another 20-minute conversation with Travis. Even though he's not a big star in this sport, you really got to listen to what he says, because he is what you would expect out of a veteran.
Well, he's a 15-year journeyman. He was Truck Series Rookie of the Year the following, or 2 years later, Truck Series Champion. So he's, he can drive, and very well spoken and a very good listen.
Absolutely. A lot of amazing information that comes out of him and his thoughts in the future and that kind of fun stuff. So make sure you listen to that in turn number 4. All show long, we're going to be giving away passes to this Wednesday's race at I-80 Speedway for the World of Outlaws, presented by SLS Promotions. So make sure you be listening for our 3 trivia questions, as we have 3 pair of tickets to be given away. And you're going to want to make sure and pay very close attention in turn number 2, because as does happen quite a bit in this show, we ask you trivia questions based on things that we cover in our interviews. So let's kick off the show with a little bit of a sad note. We got to say our thoughts and prayers out to Jim Brennan, who passed away earlier last week. I think he passed away on June 10th. So it was either that Friday or Saturday of last week. And Jim was a part of the Pick'ems contest. I met him a few years ago, and he was a big contributor to the Dirt World with Hawkeye Racing News and writing articles, and frankly, a huge supporter. And we went to his visitation last Tuesday and talked with the family a little bit. And James passed away after a long battle with some health issues, and we just wanted to send out our thoughts and prayers with the family.
Yeah, I mean, I've known JB for 25 or 30 years, always had a smile on his face, loved being at the racetrack. And I know a lot of people responded to a Facebook post made by his sister on his wall of him wanting to get to a last race. But unfortunately, that did not happen, even though there were many of us that were trying to put that together for him. It just did not work out.
His health just wouldn't permit it, so it was something that wasn't able to happen. But rest in peace, Jim. We'll miss you. In the Pick'ems contest, we'll definitely miss you because Lord knows I've been making a lot more mistakes lately with typos, with Jim not correcting my emails. So rest in peace, Jim. We're going to miss you. All right, let's talk about some of the events that have happened over the last couple of weeks. We've got a couple minutes left in turn number 1. We want to make sure and send out our well wishes to Jesse Webb from Crawford County Speedway in the Denison area. Jesse was involved in a pretty horrific accident on Friday night as Denison ponied up a little bit more money for a mod feature win. I think it's typically $700 to win that race, and they were paying $1,000 that night. A lot of new drivers went over there. And my time over at that track, it's a very fun track to watch A-Mods race. There was a pretty horrific accident with him and Justin Zeitner. Zeitner got up into the crumbs and started to cartwheel front over butt and almost tomahawk chopped the top of Jesse Webb's car, crushing the halo and knocking Jesse out. I heard other reports that when that happened, it also got Jesse's throttles stuck open. And so Jesse went careening into the inside retaining wall and flipped over it. Luckily, when he made contact there, the throttle became unstuck, and they were able to, emergency services was able to get to him. Very sore, but he was alert that night, and reports on Facebook says he's going to be okay. But man alive, that's scary. That's probably one of those things that'll put you out of a car for quite a while if he ever gets back into one.
Yeah, dirt track racing can be a dangerous sport. I mean, that's why they do what they can with the safety. The halo, as you know, we were told supposedly has collapsed. So it'd be interesting to take a look at that and see exactly what allowed that to happen. Whether it was some bad welds that broke or just stuff wasn't positioned correctly and triangulated right. There's a reason when the halo collapses.
I gotta wonder if an A-mod tomahawk chopping. There's just nothing you could do for a halo. It's probably going to collapse. I mean, those cars are how heavy?
2,400 pounds, yeah. Something like that.
That's a lot of weight flipping at you.
Yeah, but, I mean, you see a cup car hit a wall at 200 miles an hour top first, and it don't collapse. So it's not supposed to collapse.
Let's talk about the results from Michigan as NASCAR experimented with a new aero downforce package, which lowered the downforce. You could barely see that spoiler. I mean, it was just a little bitty black strip on the screen as to where before, I mean, it was a giant sail up in the ground or up in the air about a year and a half ago. So a lot of drivers, I was actually kind of surprised Jack Roush came out and said he was very unhappy with the amount of testing that they got, which I'm very happy with the lack of testing they got, because we got a very unpredictable, loose, slippery car and some amazing racing action. I can't tell you the last time I heard them going 5 wide at times, not even just during a restart, but at certain points during the race going along the backstretch, they were 5 wide at times, and even if they could have, they'd have probably gone 6 wide. I mean, it was just insane racing at Michigan.
Yeah, but the new package cut down on the draft just a little bit, but I mean the cars were so loose in the corner. I didn't see the beginning of the show, so I don't know what they had done with tires. I know they had the test several weeks ago, and Goodyear was supposed to be working on a tire just to bring specifically for that package and that track, but I don't know if that happened or not. I know last year when they did the testing there, they didn't have a separate tire. Mm-hmm. So, that could have been part of the issue, but as people, when we get into our Matt Crafton interview, he talks about tires a little bit. Yeah. And, he would have been happy racing there.
Logano gets the win. Elliott Sadler comes home second. Kyle Larson third. Brad Keselowski fourth. Kevin Harvick fifth. Edwards Stewart, let me say that again, Stewart finished seventh. Dylan McMurray and Kurt Busch rounds out your top 10. A little bit of trouble for Kyle Larson. He failed post-race laser inspection. He's been in NASCAR's crosshairs for a couple of weeks now, with his crew chief getting suspended after the race before Michigan. I believe that was Pocono, and now Kyle Larson gets in trouble. Not Kyle, but his team gets in trouble, and he was fined 15 championship driver points, 15 championship owner points, and I believe the crew chief was fined $20,000. Basically, the car just didn't pass the laser inspection, and that's just pretty. I mean, there's a tolerance that they allow you to have, but they were outside of that tolerance, and so they landed a P3 penalty. Yeah,
also going along with the news for the week. I know I just found out here this weekend, but you said you'd heard it. ThorSport, the team in the Truck Series, based out of Ohio, had about 40%, from what we understand, of their shop destroyed in a fire. So basically, they were telling us how they were setting the trucks up for down here in Iowa, out in the Kroger parking lot across the street. So
we got a lot of show to go, and so we are going to head over into turn number 2. But before we do that, we have a World of Outlaw ticket giveaway to do. So let's do the first ticket giveaway. And the first question is very, very simple. Now, the World of Outlaws raced on Friday night. So tell me who is the current points leader in the World of Outlaw sprint cars. 402-573-0590. We're going to have you take that answer off the air with Craig, because we got to get into a break. We got to come back with World of Outlaw driver Logan Schuchart. So 402-573-0590. Who is the current points leader in the World of Outlaw sprint car series? We'll be back here on the front stretch.
After 50 years of being America's home track, Eagle Raceway is the place to be on Saturday nights for great dirt track racing. Bring the family out this Saturday for the Rumble in the Bull Ring, featuring the USAC Wingless Series. Get your adult tickets now for just $10, kids 6 to 12 are just $5, and kids 5 and under get in free. Gates open at 5 with the green flag waving at 6:30. Don't miss Rumble in the Bull Ring with the USAC Wingless Series at Eagle Raceway, just east of Lincoln on Highway 34 in Eagle.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
My kind of road trip is a little different. Sure, it's got hours of driving with plenty of pit stops, but it's not for minivans. And this drive is one journey that's all about the destination. This is my road trip. This is my Speedway. June 18th, experience the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series 200. June 19th is the NASCAR Xfinity Series American Ethanol E15 250. Tickets start at $15 only at Iowa Speedway.
You wanted the best, they're coming 4 abreast. It's the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. The premiered Winged Warriors battle it out. The World of Outlaws Superstars. The greatest show on dirt is coming. The World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars return to I-80 Speedway for the Napa Outlaw Showdown, Wednesday, June 22nd. Get $5 off your general admission ticket when you purchase your ticket from a participating Napa Auto Parts store. Bring your receipt in exchange for a ticket at the ticket booth on race day. I-80 Speedway, Greenwood.
Dan and Dirk are rolling into turn 2 with a little attitude on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 2, brought to you by the World of Outlaws, presented by SLS Promotions. Tickets are on sale for this Wednesday's race at I-80 Speedway at slspromotions.com or by calling 815-344-2023. But you can get $5 off general admission tickets when you purchase them at all participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Get them in advance because they're going to go fast. This was an amazing race last year, and we're expecting it to be the same, as no rain in the forecast. It's going to be beautiful skies, not so hot. So we should have good track conditions for the World of Outlaws as they make their way to I-80 Speedway.
And the last couple 410 races have been fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. To get you set for it, we are talking with the driver of the 1S Shark Chassis out of Hanover, Pennsylvania, Logan Schuchart. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good, guys. How are you?
We're doing great.
Sweating.
Yeah. So you've got a little bit of a racing lineage in your history. Your grandfather, Bobby Allen, a a world or a Hall of Famer at Knoxville Raceway for the sprint cars. But talk to us about the way you got started in this. You raced go-karts, I think, at 8, right?
Yeah, I actually started racing a little bit before that. I started racing competitively when I was 8 years old, racing go-karts. But my grandfather, Bobby, owns a go-kart amusement park in Pennsylvania, and I started racing go-karts that they had there when I was about 2 years old, and ran some leagues and stuff that they had started there. So I got racing before that, and kind of been racing almost as long as I could walk. So something I've done my whole life, and I really enjoy it. It's part of my family, and my grandpa and the team. It makes it a family attraction. We go home, we got a lot of family that comes out, and a lot of family and friends that help us. That, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to be out here. That just help in every little way we can. With my mom with merchandise, and the rest of the family either helping in the car or helping it. We got a fundraiser coming up in July that we do every year, and everybody helps with that. So it's just a family affair that we got going on, and to put it on a high level like the World of Outlaws just makes it extra special.
Is it tough at times to work that closely with your family?
I guess for some people it might be, but for us it's pretty better. Pretty better. It's easier. I think just from what I hear from other drivers working with, owners and the way some people get, I don't have that with my grandfather and my family. He raced his whole life, so he knows what it's about. And just being around him my whole life, and it's, he's my mentor. It's where I started racing, and, he's taught me everything I know. So everybody's going to, clash sometimes, but we get along very well for being with each other every day, all day.
You're getting to the point now, you're in your, I believe, third year in the World of Outlaws?
Yes.
Are you trying to find your own way as a driver, or are you still kind of leaning on your grandpa to give you some advice every once in a while?
I've been out here long enough just raced long enough that I have my own ideas of, what could make us better at certain times, and he does too. But that's where the team part comes in, and we work well together. And lately he's big on motors, working with my cousin Michael Newman, and they do a great job. My cousin Michael was just in the last couple of years started building motors, and him and my grandpa have been working really well to build different motors for certain racetracks and what they think will be better to go in certain places, and slick tracks in the summer, some of the choppy, rough cowboy up tracks at the beginning of the year in California, and motors that run well on big tracks like Knoxville when it's hot during the summer. So just different ways of making the motors go fast, and I feel like I've learned a lot on the cars and how to make the setup, shocks, just combination between the bars, the chassis, and other aspects of the race car to make it go well. And that's just something my grandpa's done his whole life, so he's kind of had a pretty good idea. And it's not something that you can really just teach somebody. It's something you gotta have to make changes and kind of teach yourself and learn from the go out. You got to have those runs where you don't run well to kind of teach you what was wrong and what went bad. That way next time what not to do.
Logan, how long has your grandpa been retired from behind the wheel?
He's 72 now. I think he stopped racing when he was 57. He didn't really want to stop racing, but he got the go-kart track going towards the end of his career, and he sold some of his race car stuff to try and get the go-kart track going, and the go-kart track ended up not doing as good as what he expected, and I guess I just kind of ended the racing deal for a little bit until a little bit later on, and Jacob and I got going. So
basically he probably retired right around 2000, give or take a year?
96, 97. His last one was at Sharon Speedway.
20 years ago. Okay.
So you weren't really that old when he retired?
No, I was 5, 6 years old.
Well, my point was going to be, I was going to ask you, obviously he had a ton of success behind the wheel. I'm sure he's going to be just fine as a crew chief and a car owner. Who do you go for little tips of advice? Because I know technology in the sprint car world has changed quite a bit in that last 20 years. So there's probably a lot of things that he never experienced behind the wheel that you guys can do now with the cars. So do you have somebody that you can talk to and really respect their information?
We get a good idea from a lot of guys. My grandfather, like I said, being with, trying to learn about motors and stuff, he'll talk to Don Ott, and Don Ott's helped me out a lot in my career and helped us out a lot in our career to, he helped us get our first couple motors together, and he still does. And my grandfather talked to him a lot about motors, and he'll talk to Charlie Garrett. Charlie Garrett, kind of helped us out. He's been in the business for a long time, builds, motors for Brian Brown and Jason Myers a couple of years ago. So, he knows a lot, and you can talk to other drivers, the racetracks, crew chiefs, they're not going to tell you all the truth. So you can get a rough idea of, the way they're thinking sometimes. But, I mean, it's the best thing to be able to learn and to be out here is just to talk to all these guys. And the way these guys have been out here so long and they know so much, that they have so much experience, that just racing with them every night, it makes you better as a team. You learn a lot on and off the track just from racing with them, because they're so good and they don't make many mistakes, that even if you're not talking to them and you can't know exactly what they're doing all the time, you get a rough idea of it just because they're so good all the time, every time they hit the track, and it makes you better as a team also.
What's the most important component of a sprint car modern days? I know like shocks are huge for late models and tires are huge for modifieds. So is it the engine that's the most important component for a sprint car?
Definitely a big part of it. I think it's a combination between everything. I'd say that the engines and the shocks probably are, right? In this day and age, tires play a pretty big role in it. But the shocks and the engines, I think Donnie Schatz has so much dominance, and my grandfather would tell you also, especially in the middle of the summer, he doesn't have motors that, will qualify, at the top every time he goes out when the track's pretty wet. But as the night goes on, he gets better and better, and as the track slicks off, he seems like he doesn't have a rapid motor that's going to rip the wheels loose, but it has a good bottom end, and it rolls around the racetrack, right? It doesn't want to spin the wheels. And if you've heard of other drivers that will, take the exact same motor or maybe it's not the exact same motor, but it's supposed to be, relatively similar to what Donnie Schatz has, and most drivers don't like it because they say it doesn't have any power. Well, it seems to be what's good when on a certain type of racetrack. So I'd say the engine and the shocks are the one of the most important parts.
You're talking about Donnie Schatz there, and that kind of leads me to my next question. Do you ever worry that you're not going to be able to be consistently competitive since you don't have a big team owner like Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, or Kyle Larson behind you, which, by the way, I think those car owners make up the top 6 or 7 in the points right now?
It definitely puts you at a disadvantage, but we do the best we can with what we got. And I compare it to the first year we were out here. The first year we were out here, we didn't, out of the same trailer, same cars and stuff, but we fell out of, it felt like every other race, and we broke a lot. We had a lot of DNFs, and we weren't very consistent at all. And now in our third year, we rarely fall out of races. We have some engine trouble this year, but it's stuff that we're working on, and we haven't had many DNFs, and I just feel like we're working up to it. We're not where them guys are yet.
It's got to make you feel even better. You're sitting in the top 10 in points, and you're not one of those guys that has a big money team behind you. You're a family operation. You're building, like you said, you're growing, you're learning stuff, and so you're still able to stay relatively competitive.
Yeah, I feel like we are. Saying that we're at a disadvantage, I don't mean that in the wrong way either. We have very good stuff. Factory King Shocks helps us out. Don Out Racing Engines, like I said, DMI, Triple X Race Company. We have great stuff. We have great cars and fast race cars, but there's things that we need to work on to get better. And I'm confident in our race cars when we get a little bit more organization and certain a little bit more money behind us, that will be just as competitive as those guys and be able to race with them and compete.
Let's talk about Iowa Speedway coming up this Wednesday night. You can get your tickets in advance, slspromotions.com, or pick them up, $5 off at any participating Napa Auto Parts stores. How many times have you raced at Iowa Speedway?
Twice. The first year we raced the I-80, I had a rear end blowout, and I don't even think I got to race that night. But last year, I think I finished 11th or something. We weren't as good as what we like to be, but we're hoping to be better this year.
All right, so what are your thoughts going into Wednesday night?
Like every other racetrack, we just got get there, see what the track's like, time trial, and go from there. You got to put down a good time trial lap. You put down a good time trial lap, kind of gives you the momentum to start your night, and just check the track out as the night goes on and make changes and be consistent.
If you could be the god of racing and change one thing, whether it be on the promoter side, for spectators, travel, what would be the one thing that you would change about racing?
It'd be nice if they could put racetracks in a dome or something, so you never have rain out. That'd
Absolutely.
Be pretty cool.
We've had some tough ones up here last couple of weeks, so the heat's a bit of a pain in the butt to deal with, but it's better than the rain.
Yeah, the best answer we had.
Yeah, that's for sure. Our business, we got to race, so the rain kind of messes up our deal every once in a while. So if we knew we never going to rain out races. That'd be pretty nice.
So, Logan, give me your 10 years ideal situation. What's happened? Let's go 10 years in the future. It's now 2026. What's Logan Schuchart won, and what's he doing right now?
If nothing else comes up, I hope to be on the top of the Outlaw charts and fighting for championships with the World of Outlaws. I feel like within the next 5 years we'll be able to do that, and whether it's I think we can build our team up enough that it's on that level, and that's where I hope to be.
What about NASCAR? Any aspirations to go up and race in that series, or are you stuck on dirt?
I'd love to get the opportunity. That I feel like to get that opportunity, I have to dominate in the sport that I'm in now. And
absolutely.
So right now, my focus is on being the best I can in a sprint car and with the World of Outlaws. And if I get to the point where I can do good enough in that, and I get that opportunity, I'd love to take that opportunity.
Logan, we appreciate your time. Best of luck this Wednesday. We'll see you down in the pits, and we'll come down and say hi.
All right, thanks. Thank you for having me.
Again, that was Logan Schuchart of the 1S. And our next trivia question, air tickets to the World of Outlaws at I-80 Speedway this Wednesday night. Call 402-573-0590. Where did Logan Schuchart say he was from? Well, I actually said where it was from, but where did they say it? It's right at the beginning of turn number 2, right at the beginning of the interview. We said he is out of this town in this state. I'll take just the town. We can get the state another time. But where is Logan Schuchart from? 402-573-0590. We're going to take another break. We'll come back in turn number 3. Matt Crafton will join us here on the front stretch.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
My kind of road trip is a little different. Sure, it's got hours of driving with plenty of pit stops, but it's not for minivans. And this drive is one journey that's all about the destination. This is my road trip. This is my Speedway. July 9th, experience the ARCA Racing Series 150 presented by Casey's General Stores. July 10th is the IndyCar Iowa Corn 300. Tickets start at $15 only at Iowa Speedway.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
And welcome back to the front stretch. Halfway through the show, we've got some big interviews lined up for you in turns 3 and 4. Matt Crafton coming up right now in turn 3. Then in turn number 4, we're going to talk with Travis Kvapil as we get you set for I-80 or the race today at Newton for the Xfinity Series. And let's get into last turn's trivia question. I think we're still looking for a winner. We did have somebody call up and guess the state, which was Pennsylvania. So we do need the city, though. The city that Logan Schuchart hails from. But let's talk about Matt Crafton right now as we are going to roll into turn number 3. And that's brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. By the way, big Father's Day special at Quaker Steak and Lube today. We'll talk more about that when we come back from the Matt Crafton interview. So we started off by talking to Matt about how the fire at their shop in Sandusky, Ohio for Thor Sport Racing was going to affect their team this weekend.
I mean, I don't think it hurt us a ton for Iowa. I mean, they had to work in the parking lot for a day and a half. I think where it's going to affect and where it's going to be harder for the guys is St. Louis and on for the next few months, just trying to build trucks. I mean, we've got a lot of great spots to build trucks. I mean, one of the places that stepped up huge was Pegasus Trailers, and they probably gave us 30 30% of their shop to work out of, and we're at another paint and body shop that had closed down, opened it back up just so we can do some paint and work out of there. And then there's a kid that has a race team that just let us, he don't have his race team anymore, and it's a 60 by 100 shop. We're going to do all our final setup stuff there, and pull down rig's going to be there. So stuff's going to be scattered around, but I'm sure they're going to manage to it. But I've always been told if it don't kill you, it'll make you stronger, right?
Absolutely. It's probably just more of an inconvenience. I mean, an organization that's probably as well-oiled as Thor Sports is. You're not a young organization. You guys have been doing this for quite a while, so it's something that you guys probably have contingencies in the plans, and it seems like everything's kind of stepped up, and the teams have really helped out a lot.
Oh, yeah. The community, the whole community stepping up. And when the fire was going on, people bringing food, and the next day when we were in Kroger's parking lot, the people that showed up with food, with grills, cooked for the team and just stuff like that. That was just amazing to see how much the whole community wrapped around the race team.
We kind of asked a couple of teams if they were helping out with you guys, and they said, well, no, because they're still beating us. So maybe if you'll get quite a bit more help as the times go on, and like you talked about, that it gets a little tougher for you guys.
Yeah, a lot of teams reached out, a ton of teams. A lot of teams, KBM, they've reached out several times to us. This is some of the trucks that we lost and some of the trucks that were destroyed that we needed to get rebuilt. They stepped up, said they'll pull trucks off their jigs and build us new chassis if we needed it. And Toyota was really, really big involved as well. And they said anything they can do. They have a lot of resources and a lot of teams. Just let us know, and we'll do whatever we possibly can. But it was unreal. The small teams to the big teams. One of the guys that have one of probably the smallest teams out here, Jordan Anderson, he reached out to me on Monday or Tuesday and said anything I can do. He only has 3 trucks and has a small shop, and he offered that up. It's just amazing to see the people that reached out.
A lot of drivers throughout the years, throughout the season, will develop a favorite chassis. Was any of your favorite chassis damaged or destroyed in the fire?
We had the chassis that I hate the worst that got tore up.
Okay.
I was kind of disappointed that it didn't get destroyed, to be honest. But in all reality, it could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse, and we did lose a lot of equipment, and we didn't lose many trucks. We definitely lost some trucks, but we had a lot of them that had tremendous amount of smoke damage, and I know that's something that's not going to destroy them, but at the same time, these guys put a lot of hard work and dedication in to making these trucks as beautiful to come to the racetrack each and every week. And I was there on Tuesday helping them clean, and just a light gray chassis. They've got a yellow tint to them now, just from they were black, but then you wipe all that stuff off and they have a yellow tint to them now.
I wonder if you'll be racing in a couple of weeks with one of those chassis that has smoke damage, and it'll be a hot day, and all of a sudden you'll start smelling.
The truck that we brought here, actually, we cleaned it, and they had air fresheners on the dash and the floor hanging in it since we got out of the fire, and we got it where it smelled pretty good. And then we started and ran the first run, and all the heat came up in the chassis, and you started smelling it again.
We were talking earlier as we were waiting very patiently with your PR girl, Jessica, and she mentioned that you're kind of a superstitious guy. Your 2 wins this year have both came when you don't attend the autograph session, and you didn't attend it today at Iowa Speedway. So
I was busy doing this here. She scheduled it where I had to do this.
Maybe she did it on purpose, because apparently one of the times that you missed the autograph session was because your car was getting towed. So apparently we're going to have to talk about what was going on with that.
That is actually the truth.
There's some
I
laws.
forgot. I'm yeah.
Were you parked in 3 different parking stalls? Because I hate those people.
No, I was like, man, was she sticking up for me that good? No, I actually did that. I parked in with people that I shouldn't have been. They weren't all happy with me, and I actually got told to move twice that weekend. Yeah, on practice day in Charlotte, they told me to move, and then the second time,
and then you didn't.
Oh no, I moved.
Oh, you did.
I moved to a different spot the next day, and they came and found me and told me to move. And my name on my pass really messed me up. They kept looking at my pass and saw my name, and it had the 88 truck on it, and they would go to me or our trailer and try to find me. And my truck driver actually came to me the first time and told me, there's somebody out here telling me you need to move your truck. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
So a win at Iowa Speedway is pretty much guaranteed because it's superstition.
I don't guarantee anything in this. I mean, there's too many things that can go wrong, but that's just one of my superstitions. I'm still wearing the same underwear I wore at Dover and Charlotte, and I still haven't washed them, so we're just going to keep going with that.
You got to do what you got to do.
No, I actually did wash them after Texas because I lost. So for 2 in a row, I didn't wash them. I just kept turning them inside out.
Dirk talked about you're kind of one of the veterans in this sport. You've been doing it for quite a while, a couple of championships, some really well put together seasons. Have you started thinking about what's going to be coming next, or is there retirement in the next 3, 4, 5 years?
Have you lost your mind? At the end of the day, I mean, whenever I'm not competitive, then at that point maybe we'll get out when I'm not having fun anymore. But I saw a guy that's won, he has the most wins in the Camper World Truck Series. He was doing it till he was 50-plus years old, so I don't see why I can't.
You think maybe you'll go join your dad down in the dirt?
I'll just go do something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just go sit on the beach somewhere.
Speaking of dirt, how do you like running Eldora? It's got to be a lot of fun.
It's great. I love going to Eldora.
He's apparently a big fan of Eldora. So Dirk was telling me about this time at Darlington. I think we decided it was 2002, where your truck hit the outside wall, inside wall, big old blaze. You were unconscious. Was that your scariest moment behind a wheel, or has there been bigger ones?
That was my hardest hit for sure. I was racing an open wheel car I was probably 16, 17 years old, right in that range, and I flipped one pretty bad all the way down the front straightaway, and that was probably the scariest because I had some tingling and stuff going down my legs. So they took you on our backboard and strapped you on, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if I broke something and back, and I mean, that all racing is dangerous, but that stuff can be a little more dangerous whenever you're flipping and head over heels sometimes.
Where was that race at?
In Visalia, California.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk this last week and a half of the new aero package that NASCAR debuted for the Sprint Cup Series at Michigan. And obviously in 2016 they're running a different aero package, and they're so far looking to run a different one in 2017. Is there any aero changes you would like NASCAR to look at for the trucks that you think would make competitive racing a little bit more competitive, as if it needs to be sometimes?
I'd definitely like to see if we can make changes to make the racing better. I think we have great racing right now, but, can we make it better? Absolutely, I think so.
We also asked him what is one thing he would change, because we asked that question quite a bit. If you were the god of racing, what would you change? And this is what he said.
One of the big things would just be the aero things, but have the tires wear out as much as possible. Biggest thing is just the no dreaded aero push and having a tire that falls off. If you go look at some of the places where we have the best racing by far is at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Where it just absolutely tears the tire off and you fall off 3 or 4 seconds throughout a run.
Yeah.
The old Darlington, how cool that place was whenever you used to fall off a ton. So tire wear is very, very key into making great racing, because at that point, whenever it starts wearing out, the tire starts wearing out, you gotta go search for new green asphalt, we'll call it. It doesn't have as much rubber on it, and you start searching around looking for grip, and that just shows, for example, Texas Motor Speedway last week. We were everywhere. The Rico line was coming there at the end, and it blew by me on the top side, and I was running the bottom, but there was 4 or 5 different lanes you could choose from at Texas, and so tire fall off's huge.
We always ask a lot of the younger drivers. You kind of mentioned Rico Abreu, Ben Kennedy's into this series too now, and obviously the Camp World Truck Series is big for young drivers. Is there a couple of guys that you tend to kind of mentor a little bit outside of just Thor Sports, or do you kind of stay within the team?
I'll help anybody that asks me, to be totally honest. Like I said, I was in that position before, and when I came here, didn't have a teammate to lean on, so if any of those other rookies that don't have somebody to lean on, I'll help anybody that asks me.
Listen, I got a Ford Ranger, and I'm having some handling issues along I-80. Can you give me some setup advice to maybe just get a little bit more out of it?
Buy a Toyota.
Oh, that's the best. There we go. That is the best answer we've gotten on some of these questions. Matt was on point with that one. Again, that was Matt Crafton, driver the number 88 for Thor Sports Racing in the Menards Camper World Truck Series truck. Matt ended up finishing 8th last night. Just really didn't have much of a truck to battle.
He never made it to the front, and he just kind of ran around back there between 5th and 10th all night.
Congratulations to Ed from Lincoln and Paul Anderson. They are our first two winners. We have one more pair of tickets we're going to be giving away. That's going to be coming up at the end of turn 4, so we have a lot of show left to go. And we're going to take a break. We'll come back in turn number 4. We'll talk with Travis Kvapil coming up next here on the front stretch.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
My kind of road trip is a little different. Sure, it's got hours of driving with plenty of pit stops, but it's not for minivans. And this drive is one journey that's all about the destination. This is my road trip. This is my Speedway. July 9th, experience the ARCA Racing Series 150 presented by Casey's General Stores. July 10th is the IndyCar Iowa Corn 300. Tickets start at $15 only at Iowa Speedway.
You wanted the best, they're coming 4 abreast. It's the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. The premiered wing warriors battle it out. The World of Outlaws Superstars. The greatest show on dirt is coming. The World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars return to I-80 Speedway for the Napa Outlaw Showdown, Wednesday, June 22nd. Get $5 off your general admission ticket when you purchase your ticket from a participating Napa Auto Parts store. Bring your receipt in exchange for a ticket at the ticket booth on race day. I-80 Speedway, Greenwood.
Dan and Dirk are live for one last corner. Give them a call now at 402-573-0590.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Oh, how quickly things will change. So the plan was that we were going to ask our final trivia question after we play the interview with Travis Kvapil. But then we thought, you know what, let's give Craig a little bit of time to get the answers right, people to call in. So let's do our final trivia question right now before we get to Travis Kvapil. And this is going to be an easy one because we have played this audio. Dirk, I don't know how many times we've played the audio for this answer, but probably 10, 15 times. Every time Stan Caesar comes on the show, anytime this driver has come on the show, we've played the audio. So who won the last World of Outlaws race at I-80 Speedway? Now, there's been an NSL 410 race. There's been other 410 races. There's been plenty of 360 races, but there was only one other World of Outlaw race, and it was this time last year. I believe it was on June 5th or 6th. So who won that race? It was a tremendous battle, and it was an amazing battle, and it's some great audio.
I know.
402-573-0590. Who won the last World of Outlaws race at I-80 Speedway? We're going to get our final winner for today, and while we're doing that, let's play Travis Kvapil. We got to sit down with him yesterday and have a nice little conversation. So we started off by talking to Travis about how's his season going so far.
It's okay. You know, we're Make Motorsports is a really small team. You know, we don't have nowhere near the resources, you know, as several of the teams out there, especially the bigger teams. You know, the Red Horse, the Thor Sports, KBM. It's okay though. I mean, we you know, we know what our goals are. You know, I feel like for the most part we succeed in that. We're always trying to get better, for sure. You're always trying to improve the team week to week. But, you know, top 20 finishes is kind of all we're shooting for. You know, some top 15s here and there, and keep the truck solid and points, bring it home, you know, at the end of the night in one piece.
I follow you on Facebook, and I like one of the things you just got done doing where you were letting the fans pick the paint scheme for the next race. That's really cool.
Yep, you know, we've had a great sponsorship with Gas Buddy. Gas Buddy is a really cool app. It's just free download on your phone. Kind of just shows you where the cheap gas prices are in your area. But you know, we had a white paint scheme, we had a blue paint scheme, and Gas Buddy was kind of mixed reviews on what it was going to be going forward. So they're like, heck, let's just see what the fans vote on, and that's kind of what we did. And I like the white truck, but we ended up going with the blue one, was what the fans liked. But that's cool, and you know, it's a good way for the fans to kind of be involved and kind of have a say on what we take to the racetrack.
Yeah, and I really do enjoy that Gas Buddy app. I've had that for probably a couple years now, and like you said, it's a free download, and I can contribute gas prices when I'm driving around. Obviously, stop at stoplights, so I'm not, being any more of a hazard out on the road than I already am. And then you can win free gas.
Yeah, it's a really cool app. Like you were just saying, it's the user supported app where you or I we punch in the local gas prices while we're filling up or we're passing through the gas or passing down the road and sitting at a stoplight. So they give away $100 of gas every day, which is really cool. So you can sign up for that and hopefully enter into the drawing and hopefully you could win. But more than anything, it saves you on I think they say average $500 to $800 a year in gas if you use their app, go to the gas stations that are 5 or 6 cents cheaper a gallon over the course of time. It really adds up.
I definitely use it when I come to the racetrack because in my home area, in Council Bluffs and Omaha, I know where usually the cheapest gas is. But when I'm sitting in Newton, Iowa, or I'm down in Kansas City, I don't know where those cheap gas prices are. So the Gas Buddy app does a great job of keeping that up to date. Yeah, they've been a great partner of ours, and it's really simple. And it's like the biggest thing. It's a free download, simple to use. And we encourage everybody, all the race fans out there, to download it and support the race team. We talked to you down at Kansas Speedway for a while, and unfortunately the audio we grabbed because of a poorly timed generator didn't come out, so we weren't able to use it and air it for all the fans. So we're going to kind of recap some of the things we talked about. But you've got a couple of kids, and I think you said you have a daughter too? Yeah, a 20-year-old daughter, and boys are 13 and 9 now. And time flies, they're growing up fast. And I've been racing since professionally, I guess. I moved down to North Carolina in 2001, and I've been running the Truck Series, Cup, Xfinity, whatever from then all the way till now. And time really flies when you look back at all the places you've been and things you've done. It's been a great career, and I still feel like I got plenty of years ahead of me, but now the boys are growing up and kids are getting older. They're starting to be involved in racing, and so it's a lot of fun to be able to share my experiences with them. As your career continues and maybe it starts to wind down a little bit, and maybe being a driver wasn't an option, would you ever consider transitioning into a crew chief, an engineer, anything like that at a race shop? I've thought of that a little bit. I think I would manage a team really well. I feel like I have a good understanding of the trucks. There's nothing on that truck I couldn't build or change or fix or set up or anything like that. But I think I have a good idea how to run the race team too. And I've really gathered a lot of experience with that. Just even with my kids' stuff. We race 2 or 3 nights a week, and how to manage priorities and how to get things done and how to simplify those processes. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I still hope or feel like I have plenty of years under my belt of driving, but if that doesn't work out, I'm sure in one way or another I'd like to be involved. That seems like a great thing about the Camping World Truck Series is that it's very important to have you veterans around, and so there's generally going to be an open seat available for you guys as long as you're competitive. Yeah, I think so. I mean, the sport's definitely changing over the past handful of years in particular. I was fortunate when I first started back in 2001. The team had a sponsor, and the team was out looking for drivers that they were going to put in their truck, and they weren't nowadays it's more the teams are looking for the drivers that have the checks or the sponsors with them. And I was fortunate to just be a kid from Wisconsin that was successful running late models and winning races, and then had an opportunity to go to a really good team my very first year, and a team that had sponsorship and funding, and it was really a great opportunity for me. And nowadays it's it seems like these teams survive by just looking for the drivers that have money and or bring sponsorship dollars to support the race team. So it's just a different way of doing it. So be interesting to see not pushing my boys to be race car drivers, but if that's how it goes, interested to see how that's going to work out for me in the next couple of years. You can only take them so far, but it does still seem like if you have the ability one way or another, you're going to find a seat.
I mean, I first met you in 2001, which was your Rookie of the Year in Truck Series, and you won Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
And that was with the 60 truck you were talking about with Caterpillar sponsorship, and I believe Addington owned that.
Addington Racing, yeah.
Right. And I think you were there in 2002.
Yep.
Then you switched over to the
Express.
16 truck and won your title.
Yeah.
With one win at Bristol on the last lap.
Yes.
Thanks to Kevin Harvick blowing a right front.
Yeah.
And myself personally penalizing Mr. Presley in the 59 truck that race, and because he was running second at the pit stop, and he still ran second after starting like 13th on the restart. But you've had a solid career.
Yeah.
You had a chance at Cup racing.
Right.
Didn't quite work out. You and Brendan went through kind of the same deal.
Yeah.
And but you stayed around Cup for a long time as a journeyman.
Yeah.
I mean, solid. You made the race. You made the races. You made shows, and that's got to be the big thing people are looking at when you're still here. You're doing what you have to survive.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you think back. There's days where I drive, for these smaller teams, and I'm like, why do I even bother? But man, I still love it, and I still have a passion for it. And I know the weekends when I'm sitting on the couch or whatever, and I'm upset. So I know I still have that fire and the drive to be at the racetrack and still be a driver. So, looking back on it, I mean, I still feel like there's boxes that I didn't get checked off, in my career. But at the same time, man, I'm really happy with where I'm at. Like I said, I was just a kid from Wisconsin running late models and ended up making it to, one of NASCAR's top 3 levels, winning a championship, winning races, and then, having opportunities to drive for Roger Penske. I drove for Richard Childress, Jack Roush. I can't complain about any of that, and have moderate success on the Cup level, and I was thinking about it the other day. I ran full time for 7 years in Sprint Cup Series. There's not many guys that can say they've done that, and so really just blessed for the opportunities that have come my way. And as the competitor, you're still like, man, I want to win a Cup race, or you want to compete for titles or whatever. But looking back, and I can't complain about where I've been and what I've done.
You talked about the span of career that you've had, the way that safety has changed in the last 10, 15 years has got to make it feel a little bit better as you're watching your kids begin to race.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do remember, coming from the late model car to, 2001 in the truck series, and it's not even the same truck as it was 15 years ago. The way, especially the seats, the seat belts, all the tracks with the safer barriers, it's amazing. The technology and the effort that NASCAR and these tracks have put into the safety and all the engineering and research behind it. It's about time. I think we lost a lot of drivers. And that was Tony Roper and Adam Petty, all within a few months. Kenny Irwin, we unfortunately then when Dale Earnhardt died, that was kind of, I think, the trigger for everybody. Like, okay, what's going on here, and we got to figure this out. So thankful, I was able to come along during that time where the safety really was emphasized on, and it was a priority, and we made these trucks and all the race cars better, and the tracks jumped on board with the safer barriers and things like that. So, but going back to my kids, my kids are running full containment seats, in their Bandolero and Legend car and, Hans devices. I never ran that stuff till I was 25, 26 years old. So I definitely feel good strapping my kids in, with good seat belts, good seats, and Hans devices, good helmets, all that stuff that, all that technology that really trickled down from NASCAR, you're seeing it at the local levels now.
I was thinking about this the other day as I was driving on the road, and you just kind of mentioned it, the trickle-down effect of the safety coming from NASCAR, even into the consumer base with some of the developments on the interstates, the type of crash barriers and crush zones and all that kind of stuff. The technology that is developed here to keep you guys safe ends up keeping us all safe on the interstate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, manufacturers, are always – they have crash cars, and they're always, I'm sure the highway systems, the DOTs are, looking at technology in the racing industry, and you look at these safer barriers nowadays, and 15 years ago, it was kind of unheard of, but now it's a standard, and it's neat to see, some of those systems in place, on your highway driving down the road.
Well, not only you're talking about the passenger cars and stuff you see on the highway, it's not only the safety features, but it's all the performance features all the way down to the tires.
Yeah.
I mean, the tires have all changed, the brakes have all changed, the engines have all changed, the aerodynamics have all changed. Yep. On the highway, it's not really for the performance except for fuel mileage.
Yeah. It's really cool how the sport, and this is really how it's been from the beginning. I think, I believe all the way back to when Ford entered racing, it was to win, in the early 1900s. So, and then so much technology comes out of, there's some really smart people in these garages, and building these race cars, and, NASCAR comes out with a rule. We always try to figure out a way to get around it and to accomplish the same goal. So, some really innovative minds and all those ideas, and the manufacturer support, that all goes straight into the cars and or the tires or whatever that we drive on our street vehicles.
You mentioned smart people in the garage. Obviously, with your career, you bounced around from several teams. Who's been your best crew chief?
Oh, man. I would say I've had several really good ones, and but probably the top of my list would be Mike Beam. Had the pleasure to drive for him in 2007 in the Truck Series for Jack Roush in the K&N truck, and gosh, he just he was kind of like your old school guy that had a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, but yet he was willing to kind of look outside the box at new setups, or I've never been around a crew chief that had such a high standard, for the piece of equipment he put on the racetrack. We were in the wind tunnel every week. We were on the, Ford's pull down or 7-post machine every week, and just, and really, most racers can relate to this. Once you show up at the racetrack, you got what you got. The races are won in the shop, the preparation, and Mike was definitely one of the best guys I was able to, have the luxury of working with.
Okay, and I believe Mike right now, is he not at
Gallagher?
GMS?
Yeah. It's a very successful truck team.
Right, yeah. Well, one of a local down from Omaha, Tommy Ackerman. I don't know if you know Tommy or not, but yeah, he's with Gallagher now and just switched over there here recently. Yeah,
so it's a long career. I got to give a lot of thanks to Rick Wren. He's really the reason I'm even here. He was at Addington Racing in the late 90s and 2000 when Andy Houston moved on to Cup. They were looking for a driver, and somehow he managed to weed me out of the thousands probably or whatever, just as a kid from Wisconsin, and he brought me down to do a test. Todd Parrott is another great one. Ben Leslie. I've worked with some really, really knowledgeable guys, but Mike Beam, Rick Wren, I like, they're old school guys, but they're guys that always are looking outside the box and always looking forward.
What is it about them that really kind of set them apart? You mentioned a couple of things, but was there also a personality factor that you guys were able to really get along and kind of jive?
Absolutely. Not only between, I feel like I'm the type of personality that kind of can somewhat get along with anybody, but the thing about like Mike and Rick is they really drove their guys, and there was no we'll just do that later, or that's good enough. Everything was put to a very high standard, and everything had to be done perfectly. I remember days with Rick, it would be a Wednesday or Thursday, we're loading the truck up to go to the track, and heck, he'd get the Ziz wheel out and we're cutting the fender. We wanted to do a little different shape or a little different design, so whatever it took to bring the best piece to the racetrack.
Yeah, Rick Wren actually talks to me again now. I had to penalize you one time in like 2002 at Michigan.
Oh, no. I don't remember that one. But
yeah. Well, you mentioned Houston, and that's what popped in my head because it was Marty was doing your front tires.
Yeah.
And Marty went over the wall a full box too soon, and I held you for the 15 seconds. You came in third, left 7.
Oh, no.
Mr. Addington was going bananas.
Right.
Rick didn't talk to me for like 5 years. You never had a grudge.
Rules are rules, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Marty didn't talk to me for a while, but he talks to me now when I run into him at the track.
That's funny.
But if you could be the god of racing and change one thing about racing, we kind of gave you a heads up on this question last time. What would that one thing be?
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier. I wish there was a way to just run race teams or have drivers in race teams that were there on ability. I think, there's you look through the garage area, there's so many of these kids that are just 16 to 20-year-old kids bringing a checkbook and jumping in top-notch equipment. I wish, I'm thankful for where I've been and how I got here, but I know there's thousands of more kids out there just like me that scraped every dollar they had to run late models, but never have that opportunity to run in a truck just because the way the times have changed. So I guess I'd like to, if there was a way, they could just get this kid from the local track and he could go run a Gallagher truck or a Red Horse truck, KBM or something like that. But it's just not a reality.
That was Travis Kvapil, and we've got to end the show today as we've gone just a little bit long. Make sure you get your tickets for Iowa Speedway today. It's going to be a gorgeous day. I've been predicting it all week as a negative side that Brad Keselowski is going to dominate the field, but quite frankly, he didn't look great yesterday in qualifying, so this could actually turn out to be a very good battle between Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones, and some of the regulars in the Nationwide Series. Get to Iowa Speedway today. Get your tickets. They're like $10, $15, $20. You can go and sit in some great seats, put a little sunscreen on, and enjoy a great short track, fast speed action. Thanks a lot to everybody who joined us today. Thanks to everybody who called in and won tickets to the World of Outlaws. We'll do it again next weekend as we'll recap the World of Outlaws. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
Quaker Steak & Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak & Lube.
My kind of road trip is a little different. Sure, it's got hours of driving with plenty of pit
You're
stops,
listening to
but it's
AM
not for
590
minivans.
and AM 590 ESPNradio.com.
One journey that's
available
all about
anywhere
the
on your
destination.
smartphone or tablet
This
with the
is
free
my road trip.
ESPN Radio
This
app.
is my Speedway. June 18th, experience the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series 200. June 19th is the NASCAR Xfinity Series American Ethanol E15 250. Tickets start at $15 only at Iowa Speedway.